What's up? What's up? What's up? We're back with the episode number 5 for Hey Janeé.
Hey Janeé.
And I am your host, Janeé Bolden. This podcast is all about the energy that I put out into the world and the energy that I get back. So basically me saying hey to the world and the world saying,
Hey Janeé.
I love to hear it. Today we are joined by my illustrious co-host, Meaghan Taylor. You like that, right?
I know you know something about FAMU when you say illustrious.
And I'm also joined by my good friend, Drew Sanders.
Yes. Thank you. Hey, Janeé. Hey, Meaghan.
Hey.
So how's everybody feeling today?
I'm good.
I'm feeling great.
I'm just so happy to be here with you both.
I can tell. You're like smiling. It's making me smile.
No, listen, I am so overjoyed.
Yeah.
Just like, Meaghan, you have quickly become one of my favorite people.
Really?
Not you being surprised by that.
I asked somebody if I was nice yesterday, and they said I'm not nice. So I'm just surprised by things about myself.
Well, we're going to get to that in a different episode about being kind and not nice. You don't always necessarily have to be nice,
Yes.
but I think when you have a dream and then you have people who show up to help you accomplish it, it means a lot. So
That is a
love that
blessing.
for you.
I just want you to know you mean a lot to me.
Aw.
Yeah. So today's episode is called I Trust the Process of Change. So we're going to be talking about embracing change. And as far as the moment of joy, I think I had a joyful moment when I went to a Memorial Day weekend barbecue. My good friend Orlando McGee. And ironically, he lives next door to my dad's best friend. So it's like one of those synchronicity things that, yeah. And then I get upstairs. He tells me to go. He's like, oh, there's some chairs upstairs. And I get upstairs and who's there? None other than Drew Sanders.
Yeah.
So what inspired today's episode was Drew and I got to talking about pivoting and tell them what you told me.
I mean, it was a quick conversation, but it was potent. And we were just talking about pivoting, like, me moving from Atlanta to Detroit, living there for like 5 years, and then like randomly being back in Atlanta because it wasn't the plan, right? I was on my way to Houston, and I was spending some time with my family here because I was so far away from them being in Detroit, and just being down here. But happened by happenstance, but I also think it was by God, decision and alignment to be here in Atlanta for the last 2 years of living. And I had to mentally pivot myself, like thinking about, okay, why are you here in Atlanta? Because my engine in my car got locked. And like I basically had to spend all this money and then ended up getting my car to this janky mechanic, and he's basically trying to steal my car.
Oh my God.
And like, so I was like, wait, why is this happening to me right now? I'm like, I'm trying to get to Texas, know? And so just had to pivot, like find it. Okay, if I'm gonna be in Atlanta, let me find a spot. Let me be here. And we talked a little bit more, but that was the piece of the conversation.
So it's interesting that you said, why is this happening to me? So I think that over the years, I've come to learn that as soon as I get that feeling of why is this happening to me, instead I like to switch it up to why is this happening for me?
Yeah.
Because generally when we're forced into these pivots, it's for the greater good.
Yeah. Wow. And I could definitely attest to that. And I think I didn't realize why I was here probably until like a couple months ago. And it took me 2 years to figure out why I was landed back into Atlanta, like why I was here. And it wasn't, to your point, why this is happening to me, like, but what is happening and how is like adding value to me. Yeah. And I had to look at it, and it was God. It was literally God. It was my whole time being back in Atlanta was for me to get back into relationship and communion with God so I could hear his voice, be comfortable with hearing God's voice, and also being open to being guided, right? And being okay with this pivot that's happening
of
to
not,
me.
Like being in control.
Yeah, because we always so much in control. We always want to grab the wheel. This is our car, but it's like God is like, bro, hold on. This is my world.
Jesus took the wheel.
And follow Jesus' way, right?
Yeah.
And follow the teachings of the rabbi, and and learning, and I had to sit and really learn who Jesus was. I asked God, I said, God, can you show me who Jesus is? Because I was having this huge wrestle with the whole Christ thing,
Wow.
right? And I asked God during my fast, I said, show me who Jesus is. And the answer came pretty fast during the fast. So,
oh wow, that's so interesting that you mentioned fasting, because I fasted this year for Ramadan. It was my first fast for Ramadan. Yeah,
I did
nice.
Ramadan too.
I remember that, yeah.
But I think like so much clarity does come in the fast, and even with my intentions for our conversation today. So what you actually said to me, I think when you were speaking to me, you also were thinking of yourself, and that's why what you responded about our conversation was really more to do with your pivot. But for me, what you said.
For you, because I forgot, honestly. I was like, I forgot what she was.
So part of how this podcast has been born is that I was laid off in February. Like, I don't think I've publicly said that. Like, I have typed it. It's been on social media, but I haven't actually talked about it. And so Drew said to me, like, you made such a quick pivot from running Boss. And this is a place that I ran for 15 years to now having my own podcast. And there are even people who I've seen since the podcast launched who were like, you didn't tell me you were gonna do a podcast. We were talking about it. I told you should do one. And I was like, you know, it's interesting because I think that time of Ramadan is really where I was planning. You know, I was preparing. I think we were in conversation. Obviously,
I think we were in Memphis. Yeah.
Well, we were in Memphis before Ramadan.
Okay, gotcha.
But I think that when we were having the conversations about women in radio, when I wrote the article on you, and when we were talking about doing the podcast together, that I think that all happened during the month of March.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, I did definitely drew a blank. That was definitely what I said to you. I was like, dang, what did I say? But no, that was definitely it. It was, and I was so proud. And that was a proud moment for me. From me seeing you and witnessing you. I've known you for like about 15 years.
Yeah.
And I was telling you, I was like, yo, like, you made such a strong pivot, and I believe so much in the platform that you're building right now. And I just wanted to pour into you in that moment because I was like, yo, like, I've seen all your moves that you made, and, you know, and a lot of people, when being in your position and not having what you once knew, some people just get lost, right? After they're not so used to doing what they used to doing. And you made a quick pivot. You was like, you know what? No, I know so much. I've gained so much knowledge. I have so much know-how. Let me just create this own thing within myself with this platform with Hey Janeé. And I was like, yo, Hey Janeé is going to go crazy. It's going to blow up. And I was like, I love that you're doing that, and inspired me. So that's what I said. And I said I wanted to share that because we all inspire each other. But that moment of me seeing that from you, I was like, oh, yeah, this is what the pivot looks like.
I love that.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm gonna end up like crying.
How much is you ready? I'm a Cancer. I knew what time it was.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to use my platform to help spread the word about your brand, Aware Brand. It's always been like so cool, so dope. But what makes it even doper and cooler is that it has meaning behind it. So I would love to hear more about how you started, you know, how you started your brand. I definitely want you to also talk about going to school at Tuskegee and if that played a part.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. It was funny. I was telling your assistant, Ginger, earlier. She asked me about Tuskegee. She said, did you start Aware in Tuskegee? And I was like, no, but I started my entrepreneurship journey at Tuskegee. I started a management company there, and I was managing artists. Like, I had a studio in my house, so people were coming to my crib and recording music, and I just created this music energy
like
and platform
community,
and community at Tuskegee. And that grew from there to getting into managing artists post-college and just going through this whole journey of like trying to get into the music industry, right? And, you know, my story, my background, I come from the music industry. I'm an industry child, you know.
Industry baby.
Industry baby. And
we're not going to say nepo over there.
And, you know, just trying to get into the space. And, you know, it worked for me. I had a strong musical platform called R&B Untapped. It was in the music. And
the Showcase.
The Showcase. It was strong.
Dope.
It was one of the hardest R&B platforms in the country at one time. And I think I hit like a mental like fatigue, and I burnt myself out because I was literally doing everything. I call it the Don Cornelius effect. I was like producing the show, I was finding the talent, I was being the A&R, and then I got on stage and I was hosting it too. So I was like doing every facet of it, and I burnt myself out. But during the same time, we were dealing with a lot of police brutality. We were dealing with the Philando Castiles, the Trayvon Martins, and all of that was happening. So I'm literally going out marching and trying to do my part in being a part of an activism, and, you know, just just getting out there in the streets. And I'm a young 20-something-year-old guy. But at the same time, that's such a compounded effect. I was also identifying who am I? How do I want to show up in the world? And I was reading this book by Deepak Chopra called 7 Spiritual Laws of Success. And I always say this because that book sparked a new awareness within me, because he kept talking about self-awareness. And so that sparked an idea. I was like, okay, we're going through all this stuff as Black people in the world. I'm going through my own transition into manhood. What does this all look like? And I was like, why am I struggling with this? And why are my people struggling right now? And we going through all the same stuff of like what our ancestors went through. And it's just a new version of it. And I was like, it's lack of self-awareness. But it's not only lack of self-awareness, it's lack of self-love. Which is why you see the heart in our logo, because you got to love yourself first in order to see yourself. And as a culture,
that's so real.
As African Americans or just Black people globally, we are missing love. Like they took that away from us. Through every process you can think of, slavery, the Jim Crows, the civil rights, like they took love away from the community. They took love away from us. So the lack of self-awareness is there.
And
so
even in the culture, like how like you see certain music that's promoted and you have a hardness and people are taught to like not show emotion. Right. And I think that all kind of follows that path.
It does. And it binds us. It not really binds us, it separates us. And it's for me, I was like, we need this for the community. So that's why I started Aware. I was like, you know what? This is going to be my part of activism. I'm going to create a brand. I'm going to get some shirts. I'm going to use this as a vehicle. And we're going to put this into the community. And we're going to really be advocates of self-love and self-awareness. And that's how it started.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you already had this know-how from your platform R&B Untapped as well. So learning how to like marry the partnerships, and can you talk about that some? Because I know you have a partnership with Foot Locker.
Yeah, so the partnership came kind of similar to what we were experiencing in the early 2010s with police brutality. Then we see during COVID, George Floyd, the whole situation with George Floyd happened. So I think a lot of companies, these blue chip companies, these major companies were having their initiatives and supporting, Black brands and Black companies. And, we got caught up in that because our message is authentic and it was real. Like we really been pushing this whole thing around mindfulness and wellness and cultural connections that way. And they were like, yo, we saw your brand through a pop-up series and the buyer loves your stuff, and we got a new program that we're working right now. We're working with new Black-owned brands. We would love to bring you in as a partnership and see how you guys do. And we did really well for the first few drops, and to the point now we're like one of the stronger brands that they brought in over the last 5 years. Wow. It's been a great partnership working with them, and it's been helping us expand. Like we're in stores in LA, we're in stores in Philly, and New York, Detroit. So it's just a beautiful situation, and I'm just glad that Foot Locker believed in a brand like us to spread our message, because that's really all. It's all about that. It's more than the clothes. It's more about the message.
I love that.
Me too.
So Meaghan has a segment on the Hey Janeé podcast. It's Meaghan's Thoughts. It comes from Meaghan's 8 Thoughts of the Week. I chose it for you.
Thank
you.
Hope
that's okay. So here's this week's thought.
Oh my. Okay. Can I not see? Oh, this week's thought, well, one of the 8 is growth is never comfortable, period. Yeah.
Growth is never comfortable.
It isn't.
No.
It really isn't.
Yeah. It's not. So you want me to expound on that?
Sure. I think we all should expound on it.
Yeah.
I think for me, I did get comfortable in my role. And I think in order to grow and level up, I had to get pushed. I'm like a baby bird. I got pushed out the nest.
Fly.
And guess what? I had wings. Bam.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I think growth this year has definitely been a growth year. I think sometimes you get put in situations where you're like, okay, like we talked about earlier, like why is this happening? But you got to change your perspective, and then also have the faith added into it, and be okay with the growth, because life is always evolving, and you have to be okay with just new ideas and new experiences, and that's the growth part. And growth hurts sometimes because you have to let go of some things that you're so accustomed to, and it's like, man, that was me though. That was the old Drew, like, and I love that guy. I'm like, well, is that guy really the version that you see yourself, the next version you see
Right.
yourself? So you gotta let things go, let people go. And growth is just, it hurts, man. It hurts, but it's needed.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I think for me in the last year, just growing emotionally, I guess, like I said, I'm a Cancer, so I went through like a heartbreak last year. So just growing through that and getting through that and seeing how like amazing pieces, amazing pieces. It's like, it took a growing process, and I'm happy I'm on the other side of it.
Me too.
Yeah, that's good.
There's a heartbreak is that's a whole
Lord.
nother thing.
It's another episode.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna kind of skim through real quick for C Stream and Skip.
Okay.
So for C, Bring Her Back. It's a horror film, and I definitely had to sage myself afterwards, but but
sage
I like
yourself.
scary movies, and
Okay.
I definitely watched when you're watching the movie like this. That's how you know it's a good horror movie. For Stream, I want to highlight a new Apple TV series called Smoke. It is about an arson investigator played by Taron Egerton. Journey Smollett is his partner, and my friend Intare Guma and Baho Mwene is also on it. And I really enjoyed the show. It's really good. I'm looking forward to people seeing it. Just I think we don't think about fires and like why people set them, and it gets really into the complexities behind people's motivations, and there's characters you're gonna love and there's characters that you're gonna hate, and there's gonna be characters who actually Journey Smollett is like one of my favorite actresses, and I think she always like knocks
dope.
it out of the park.
Yeah.
But her character is one of the complicated ones because she's a good person, but she also has like a really complex past that she's coming to reckon with.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Actually pretty much every character on the show has a complex
They're
past.
human, yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so for my skip,
Okay.
skipping the fear of change. Just really leaning into what today's theme is. I want people to skip that fear and embrace the discomfort that comes with growth and transformation.
Love that.
Love that.
So all of these things will be on my Substack. If you haven't already subscribed, it's also Hey Janeé on Substack. And I will be linking back to all of these things. I'll also include some links to Aware website so you guys can check it out,
Yeah.
make some purchases.
Let's
the
go.
gear is really dope. So I hate that we're out of time.
I know. I feel like
I
we're
know,
just
we're
getting
just
started.
getting started.
Yeah.
We might have to bring you back.
Come on now,
Maybe we
bring
have
me back.
Aware sponsor an episode.
I'm all the way down for that.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Definitely looking for sponsors. So in closing, I'm going to give my affirmation of the week.
Okay.
So this week's affirmation: I trust the process of change. Each pivot I make brings me closer to my true self.
Yes.
I like it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So thank you everyone for joining us. I want to remind you guys to like, share, and follow, comment. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. And again, I'm saying hey to y'all. I want y'all to say it back.
Hey, Janeé.
Hey, Janeé.
Thank you so much. Have
All
a
right.
great one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That was dope.
Yay. And we're only 5 minutes over.